I'm gonna go ahead and plant directly in the ground. That's the second part of seed starting. So hardening off. They gotta toughen up sometime, right? Hey, I am out in my garden, as you can see, and it is not our last frost date yet. However, I believe it is later at the end of this week, and it is such a really nice week. The weather is gorgeous. It was like in low 80s yesterday. It is again today, sunny. The nights are warm. As bipolar as Ohio weather is, I fully expect to get cold again. But you know, I'm just kind of feeling a little bit of lazy gardening this year, to be completely honest. So I was not able to get some of my squash and melons and things like that started indoors when I was supposed to. I was out of town and it was just a crazy time. So that didn't happen. I could still start them indoors, but honestly, I just don't feel like it. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant my winter squash directly in the ground out here. And you know, if it gets cold again, I'll just cover them up because yeah, I just don't want to mess with any more seedlings inside this year. So that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see. We have acorn squash. We have winter luxury pumpkins, delicata, and our favorite autumn frost, which feels like is almost gone actually. Apparently I should have saved some of those. There's only 2 left. So I should have ordered more of these, but it's a little late for that now. Okay, well, I have 8 feet on either side this year for planting these, which I'm excited about because we love our winter squash. So let's get to it. The last 2. As you can see, I have all of my onions there, and then I'm going to put the squash right here next to the trellis. I'm going with a wide beds this year instead of single rows. We'll see how that does. I think it will allow me to plant more and harvest more and make it a little bit easier to get around. We'll see. Okay, first 2 are autumn frost. And that's all the autumn frost I have. So, moving on. Do some delicata. More delicata. These are my son's favorite. Make sure you get plenty of them. Pumpkins and acorn squash. Let's do acorn squash first. Last but not least, some pumpkins. I will come back once they start popping up and just scatter some radish seeds around here to help deter those squash vine borers. We'll see how that goes this year. But yeah, so this side is done. And this other side, I might actually mix in some melons in there as well, because I had planned to plant a couple of different kinds of melons this year, and I wasn't really sure if the place I chose was going to have enough space for them to vine around. So since I have so much room here, I might go ahead and put some of those up here. Okay, I have a couple of different kinds of new melons here, and then the Art Home red seeded watermelon that we grew from last year, the ancient ones there. So these ones actually say that they prefer less water. So I'm going to put them here because there's a kind of a higher spot in the garden, and then save the watermelon for where I had originally planned to put these, over on this back fence. It can climb up the fence, but that tends to be a wetter spot, and the watermelon likes water more. So I'll put that there, and I'll put one of each of these over here. And then we might also put one more of each over in another spot that I had planned for watermelon. So let's see, this one is Rich Sweetness 132. This one is Kajari. It's supposed to be interesting, but they're really cool to look at, and I like really beautiful food, so that's what we're gonna do. The nice thing when you're growing up, instead of vining on the ground, you can plant things closer together, which is helpful if you're short on space. That's the way to fit more into your garden. And, you know, they vine like crazy all over the ground, but if you can grow, and you know, that's losing space. But if you can grow them up, then it's only taking up a small footprint, and then you have a lot of extra space for other things. So I think the Kajari, nope, that's not the one. Rich Sweetness I grabbed first, so I'm going to put that here. I'm also dictating this to you because I did not bring out a pencil, so that's why I'll remember what I planted where. So, Rich Sweetness going at the end. And then Kajari next to it. I always like to do 2 seeds in the hole if I can, just in case one doesn't germinate. So 2 seeds there, 2 seeds here. It's supposed to be very prolific, so we'll see how they do. We might have melons coming out of our ears. And then I'm gonna go ahead and probably order more of those autumn frosts because they are our favorite. And I want to have plenty of them. So I will order more of those. They don't usually take too long to come in, and then plant them for the rest of the other side of the trellis there. Over here, where, I mean, the ducks and chickens have like scratched and dug all around the outside of the fence, so it's a little bit lower there, and the water kind of sits there when it gets really wet. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those watermelons here on this outside by the fence here. They can climb up the fence and a little bit this way, and then right behind that I'm gonna come in with zucchini and then cucumbers right behind it. The zucchini, they get very big, but they're more of like a bush. They don't vine. And then the cucumbers do vine. I'll just put them in cages. And just from past experience, I know that the zucchini are only going to last half the season before they die off. And then that will also give the watermelon a little bit more room to spread out. There are so many weeds in my garden this year, and it hasn't even started yet. It's going to be a nightmare. But, you know, I'm almost at the point where I don't even care already. It would be nice to have a beautiful, immaculate, weed-free garden, but that's just not a reality at this point. At this season in my life, it's just other things are more important to me. So I'm not gonna spend hours and hours and all that time trying to get all of every last bit of ground ivy out of here. And I showed before, like, all the weeds and the hay that sprouted, and it's just gonna be what it is for now. I think I'll just put 1 hole here. I was debating if I should do 2 because this is a pretty wide space, but I'll just do 1 hole, 3 seeds. So that's a potential 3 plants right there. That's plenty. I just double checked my layout. This was supposed to be over there. I might be able to dig them up. Let's see. Let's try this again. Okay, let's try that again. See? I'm not a perfect gardener. Now you can see where this is a very low spot. That gets very, very wet. So I'm going to put these watermelon seeds here, and hopefully they enjoy it and don't drown from it. There. Now the zucchini. I feel like next year we're probably gonna need to expand because we are outgrowing this garden space very much. And then 2, probably put down cardboard again and really heavily mulch it to take out all these weeds. So anyways, zucchini, they get about 3 feet diameter, give or take. They get pretty hefty, so I'm just going to put 1 on either side here. That'll spill over into the lane a little bit, but that's okay. So we'll put 1 here. That'll give that watermelon enough space, I think. And 1 here. about 18 inches apart, give or take. Okay. And then I believe it was actually tomatillos are next, which obviously will be in cages. And then cucumbers go on the other side where I originally tried to plant that watermelon. See this? Okay, we got some funky lighting here, but I'm trying to avoid the buzz from the overhead lights that we had last time. So, my little seedlings. Let me clean this lens real quick. That's a little better. All right. So my seedlings here, kind of left you hanging. As you can see, they are growing, which is good. So, just a recap, when you're starting your seeds, you get your soil in your container of choice, plant your seeds, make sure the soil is moist. If you choose to, you can cover them with plastic or a cover until they have germinated. Then once they have germinated, you can take that off, turn on the lights, and then just make sure you're keeping them nice and moist so that they can grow. You want to keep your lights just a few inches of the plant above the plants, otherwise they'll get leggy. This one actually needs to go up because they're starting to touch it in the back. Now, usually, once my plants get their second set of leaves, their true leaves, then I will start giving them some fish emulsion fertilizer with their water. Not every time, but, you know, every here and there. I haven't done that this year. Honestly, this has been like the most hands-off I've ever been with my seedlings. I come down and water them, and that's about it. Yeah, for no other reason than just it's been a rough season of homesteading right now, and I just don't have the mental capacity for it. So, yeah. So these guys, I mean, they're still growing, as you can see. They're healthy for the most part. They're not growing as well as they could be. So with the fertilizer, they would be much bigger by now, especially some of these little piddly tomatoes over here. Those ones are really big and doing great, but these over here, not so much. An issue that I did have is my peppers didn't germinate super great. And I did reseed them, but they still didn't germinate really. And then the ones that did germinate, like half of them, I think a mouse or something ate. So, pepper's not doing super hot. I need to, while I'm down here, go ahead and make an inventory of what I ended up not getting so that I can go get those from a local nursery. The big open houses and stuff are starting this weekend. So I will be doing that this weekend probably, and also getting some other things that I just didn't grow myself. That's the second part of seed starting, just the maintenance until they're ready to go into the ground, which will be here soon. So that's exciting. These guys will be getting ready to go out soon. Honestly, I'm probably going to wait because the weather has been just so weird this year. I mean, it's weird every year, but it's been really weird this year. So, I know. I think I'm going to give them an extra week just to be safe because I don't trust it to stay warm at this point. Okay, so you're past your frost date and you're excited to get these seedlings outside. There's one more thing that you need to know before you do that. These little boogers have been lovingly tended and cared for and babied under these nice little grow lights that gives them just the right amount of light throughout the day, and by you giving them just enough water to get them by, and just the same steady temperatures their entire existence. Well, outside ain't like that. Outside, it's going to be windy, you're going to have harsh sun, you're going to have rain, you're going to have water or no water. So these little guys need to get used to that through a process called hardening off. So hardening off, the process of gradually introducing your little seedlings to the outdoors. Now, a lot of the experts will tell you to do this ever so gradually and ever so delicately by bringing them out and putting them out of direct sun for 1 hour the first day. Make sure that the wind isn't going to hit them. And then the next day, you can bring them out for 2 hours and then 3 hours, and gradually extend the time that they're outside and the amount of sun and wind they're exposed to. Yeah, don't do that. That is way too much tedium, and I do not have the brain power to do that. So, I take a little bit of a simpler approach that is absolutely not scientific at all. When I bring my seedlings out, I like to put them into this super cheap Aldi greenhouse. As you can see, that's very much weather beaten. There's really no plastic left on the sides. So it is not really protecting from the elements much at all. What it is protecting from is the chickens. So that's why I continue to use it. I have used it before it got so dry rotted. I did use it more to give a greenhouse environment so that I could leave them outside on nights that were cool and but not cold, and I didn't really want to bring them back and forth inside. But for the most part, it just kind of works as a holding place. Sometimes I've also put them on these water barrels over here, or even just on a picnic table, but again, chickens. So what I do is I will bring these guys out in the afternoon when the sun is on the other side of the house and just stick them in here for however many hours until I remember to bring them back in. And then the next day I might bring them out for a few more hours and just get it earlier in the day to where they're starting to get some sun. And when it's warm enough outside, after they've been out a couple times, when it's warm enough, like over 50 degrees, then I'll leave them out here at night. Only bring them inside if it gets under 50 degrees. Which usually when you're past your frost date, it shouldn't be getting that cold at night anymore, but so high, y'all. It does weird things. So anyways, I'm not super particular about it. I don't time it. I just kind of wing it casual like. As long as I'm not just sticking them in direct sun and full wind their very first time out of the basement, then they usually do okay. They gotta toughen up sometime, right? Now that is the least amount of seedlings I have had in a very long time. Makes me wonder what I've forgotten. So, as I said, when it gets to be going on nighttime and the temperature's dropping, I'll go ahead and bring them back into the basement. And then tomorrow, I don't know, after lunch sometime, I'll just bring them out again. Now, plants for the front yard, because I don't want to be bringing them back down to the basement all the time, I'll just leave them in the garage at night and then bring them out here on the porch during the day. Now for, I don't know, half the day they do get sun right here, and then the rest they don't, and I'm honestly not that picky about it. Most of these are actually all of these are from a local greenhouse. I did not start these from seeds. Process is the same. They've been in a greenhouse their whole life. They need to harden off. So just gradually introduce them to the outdoors at your leisure. There you have it. We have started seeds directly in ground. We have started seeds inside. We have started hardening off. And if the weather decides to cooperate, we'll soon be transplanting into the garden, the ones that we started inside. Hopefully soon. We are past our frost date, but as I said, weather's been wonky this year. So I will show you when we do transplant those. It probably won't be a video completely dedicated to itself, but it'll be mixed in with some other really fun stuff about animals, life, who knows? You have to wait and find out. We'll see you then. You know what the best kind of seeds are? The ones that sow themselves. All of this lettuce just grew all by itself from all the lettuce I went to seed last year.